Clint Strait, what's up, brother?
Hey, man. Glad to be here. What a room you got here. This is awesome.
We got the room kind of new set up. This is got the acoustic panels, so I like halfway look like I know what I'm doing now.
Well, you're pulling it
and
off because this is sweet.
thank you, man. Thank you. And one of these days we'll find somebody to buy and do videography for me, so we get everybody to see the room. But thanks again for being here. And man, I want to hear your story, your personal story. I want to hear your role in the Austin music scene. Your family's had a quite of a foothold in Austin for generations, and so we'll go with where are you from? Obviously, you're from Austin, but
Yeah,
what
so
part of town?
born and raised in Austin. I grew up in the Northwest Hills area. I moved
Okay.
to Westlake when I was probably in like the 5th grade, which is funny because my dad grew up in Westlake when it was like a 2A like country school.
Yeah.
I mean, even going back, talk about Austin music, going back to like Soap Creek Saloon's actually right kind of where my store is now.
Yeah.
Which is an old iconic venue. So yeah, Austin, born and raised. As far as straight music's concerned, it's really all I've known. I mean, I grew up around the store, and like I was telling you and your wife earlier, I haven't grown up here my whole life. I left and I went to Colorado for college and lived in Denver for a
Yeah.
year, and then came back, and I just love Austin. And
Is that
love
where you
Austin
found
music.
the dead?
So the little very well-known secret, I'm a huge Deadhead, but probably so. When I was in college in Colorado, it was early 2000s, and there was a whole jam band scene at that time that was going down, and so followed a lot of bands around, saw a lot of shows at Red Rocks, saw a lot of great shows at the Aggie Theater in Fort Collins, where I went to school at CSU. And musical taste wise, I like everything, but that's probably where that started.
I mean, I don't blame you, man. It's a beautiful area of the world. If my wife could deal with cold weather, I think we'd have a serious look at Colorado. I'm surprised you came back.
Yeah, well, like I say,
Yeah.
not having a family business, I'd still be there. I got a lot
Yeah.
of good friends there. Try to go at least once or twice a year.
Yep. So were you always growing up, you knew your path, you wanted to be part of the family business?
Not at all, actually. It's funny. It was never really imparted on me or something that was like preordained. I mean, growing up, the Ninth and Lamar store was the store I
Yeah.
kind of was a kid at, and I had odd jobs, vacuuming offices, so I could have enough money to go buy fruit leathers at the original Whole Foods. And so grew up around the store. It's like, we call it the Straight Music family. There's so many people there that I grew up around, and it's actually it's getting less and less now, those people just, age wise, but grew up around the store. And honestly, I went to school. I was a business major. I thought when I left Austin, I was going to go to CSU for 2 years and come back and finish at UT. Both my parents are UT alums, and
Yeah.
fell in love with the whole scene up there in Colorado, and didn't end up doing that. And then I worked in Denver for a year. I mean, it's kind of funny. Like I felt like I had done everything that was expected. Driver's license 16, go to college, all
Yeah,
that stuff.
all the boxes
and
checked.
and I had I had a marketing internship in New York City when I was in college, and had all this stuff. And then all of a sudden I got out of school and I was like, I don't know what the hell I'm going to do.
Yeah.
So moved to Denver, started waiting tables, ended up getting a job selling shipping, like door-to-door cold calling. I was pretty pumped though. I had a base salary that was good enough for me to live on at the time. And so I did that for almost a year. And then honestly, I was in Dallas at a sales training, and I just kind of looked up and I was like, you know what? Like I, it seemed like that had kind of, the whole being away had kind of run its course. And I called my dad from Dallas and I said, Dad, I think I want to come back home and work for the family business. And of course, I'm sure it was music to his ears, but it
Yeah,
was nothing he
sure.
ever really tried to push on me. And so it was funny. I remember calling him and being like, well, I'm only like a couple hours away. Can I just come back now and like we go hunting this weekend? He's like, no, you idiot. Like you need to go finish up. So went back from training and told my boss that I was gonna, probably look to move elsewhere. And you know, I I think I skied my ass off for about one more month
Mm.
and then packed up my car and moved back home.
All right. And when was that?
That would have been like '06,
Okay.
'05, '06, something
So
like that.
you've been back in the business for most of your
Yeah,
life and
20
career at
years.
this
Yeah.
point.
So now going on about half my life now.
Yeah. All right. And so tell me about the history of Strait. Obviously it's been around since 63. Um is what did a little research on it. And you mentioned the location at Ninth and Lavaca, right? And
Ninth and Lamar. Yeah.
Excuse me, Lamar. And I think that's like a dull tile now, like or horizon tile, right by the Ace Taylors, right?
It's directly across the street from Shoal Creek Saloon,
Okay.
which
Yeah.
is
Yeah.
relevant
Yeah.
because we used to always flood like Shoal Creek Saloon
Yeah.
does.
Yeah. I saw that. I did see that in the history about it
Yeah.
flooding. I don't remember what year it was, but
81 and 91.
and so it started out as what? Was it always a wholesale music?
Well, telling the story of Strait music is really correlates with the history of music retail. So, if you look at the history of music retail, going back to the early 1900s, music retail was really piano dealers. I mean, there wasn't like what we would consider full line music stores now, or even like guitar shops back then.
Yeah.
Most people were piano dealers, and so that's how we started. My grandfather, when he got out of World War II, he moved to Houston, and I think he was working for like an oil company or something. And his father actually worked for a music store in Chicago. My grandfather's from Chicago. He's not a
Mm.
Texan. He's from Chicago, and so
Mhm.
my great grandfather would have been worked for Chicago Music International. And anyway, so he had a little bit of just music retail in his blood, I guess. But he kept trying to get a job at a place called Pace Piano Company in Houston,
Mm.
and they wouldn't hire him.
Like
They're
as a
like, you don't
sales.
have, yeah, they're like, you don't have any
Yeah.
sales experience. And so it's funny. He met my grandmother, and I think that because they might have worked at the same place, but at any rate, he asked his boss for a raise because he was having my aunt, his first child, and the guy told him no, and he just quit. He came home to my grandmother and he was like, "I quit." She's like, "What the hell? I'm freaking pregnant," you know?
Yeah.
And he's like, I guess I don't know. I guess he felt disrespected, but at any rate, he took a Dale Carnegie sales course, which is ironic because
That's
like
funny.
we've read a Dale Carnegie book as a leadership team
Of
before,
course.
and he went back to that same guy and he was like, "Look, now I have experience. I took this sales course." The guy's like, "Man, you're persistent," so he hired him. And short story, he was a successful salesperson there, and a franchise opportunity opened up to open up a Baldwin piano franchise.
Mm.
And he had his choice between Lubbock and Austin, and he chose Austin, which nowadays, not no hating on Lubbock. It seems
Yeah.
like an obvious choice, but it was not
Sure.
an obvious choice then.
Yeah.
Lubbock was a much larger town at the time, and Austin was kind of a small college town. And
Mhm.
my grandfather, I've heard so many stories about him making decisions of people thinking they weren't good, and that's what he went with. And so he moved them to Austin. He started Strait Piano and Organ at that Ninth and Lamar store. He had he was the salesperson. He had one piano technician, and he was and one bookkeeper. And it's funny because that bookkeeper was still working for us when I came around, and worked there for a significant amount of years. Maybe 5-6 years I was there.
Wow.
And her granddaughter and I grew up together. We were friends. But
That's a theme that I noticed about, and we'll talk more about the longevity of the employees that work with you. So we'll touch on that later. But yeah, that's a very consistent theme that I've noticed.
Amy Falcone, she was a legend.
That's awesome. So he moved down to Austin.
Yeah,
opened
started
up a
straight.
show.
Yeah, started Straight Piano
store.
and Organ. And then as the story goes, what I've always been told is that obviously when the Beatles came and played the Ed Sullivan Show,
Mhm.
and sort of that rock and roll wave really started to hit America big. And they played Vox amps, and Baldwin. I'm sitting here looking at your Vox pedal.
Mhm.
Baldwin owned Vox amps, and so it was really easy for us to get those lines. And so
Yeah.
we expanded into guitars and amplifiers. Once again, my grandmother told my grandfather he was crazy, but he did it anyways. And then just sort of, what a blessing. I mean, as the music scene in Austin, outlaw country, and all the great things that started happening in the 70s was
Mhm.
the same time that straight music was right there with it. And
Yeah.
so we're super lucky to have been here in Austin and had that scene kind of burgeon and grow. And we were right there with it.
So was Strait kind of the music store of choice for those musicians coming through town or
I
in
mean,
town?
I gotta think so, just based off of, stories I heard and people that
Mhm.
used to come in and stuff. I mean, I don't personally know which other stores were around then. I mean, I know
Yeah.
Ray Henning's Heart of Texas Music. One of his claims to fame was that he had sold Stevie Ray his first
Right.
guitar. So I don't know what year that was, but I know they were around and on Lamar close to us at the
Mhm.
time. But yeah, I mean, I'd like to think so. And at some point there too, we expanded into band and orchestra,
Yeah.
which band and orchestra dealers have been around as far as music retail is concerned, have been around a pretty long time too, because there's always been marching bands. So,
Sure. Right.
but then we slowly expanded, and then of course the '80s happened. That's keyboards and synths, and we expanded into that. And music retail a lot of times has followed popular music, so you can look at the history of our industry, and
Yeah.
that's kind of how we expanded as well.
And so did your grandfather ever tell you or even your dad any stories of guys like Willie or, the Vaughn brothers or anybody kind of integrating with the store in a special way?
I mean, I have a really awesome picture in my office of my grandfather and Willie in an amp room.
Mhm.
Um, so I've heard a few stories about Willie. I got to meet him one time. He remembered my grandfather.
Oh, wow. That's cool.
Um, and again, like I don't know if all these stories are true, but
Sure.
I've been told before that, Eric Johnson, when he recorded that first self-titled album,
Mhm.
he had borrowed a lot of the equipment from us,
Oh, wow.
and made that album. We'll go with its fact because that's what I
Heck
was
yeah.
told. But and that's really my grandfather. If you look at my family, like my grandfather was like a super generous, super giving person. And I used to hear stories about, I mean, again, we're kind of aging out now, but I would always have people come in and be like, your grandfather gave me this when I didn't have a pot to piss in. And,
Mm.
he told me I could pay him over time. You know, uh, and so he was just really generous.
I mean, there's something to be said about that. I mean, to me, that's what takes these generational businesses and keeps them in not only just from a business standpoint, but from a community impact. And I mean, and we'll obviously get into this a little bit more later, but what you guys are doing today seems like a direct correlation to what your grandfather's just his way, his mindset, his way of operating, his way of doing business. It just seems like it just kind of flows that way today.
Well, his motto was a place where customers become friends, and we still post that line
Yeah.
everywhere. And that's, kind of how we see our business is just, uh, you know, building genuine relationships with our customer base, and the business follows.
Yeah.
And we want to be a place where the retail experience is all customer focused. You come in, you become close with our staff. Whoever it is that becomes your person for
Hmm.
knowledge, and we just want to be a really breath of fresh air from a not only in the music retail industry but just retail as a whole. Like we want to give people a different experience, and it's just all about being genuine and
Yeah.
warm, and building relationships with our customers, and we let the business follow.
Howdy, everyone. Before we get back to the show, I wanted to give a special shout out to the folks over at Straight Music. Clint and the team have been great supporters of Austin Music People, and they want to support you as well. If you're in the store, just mention Austin Music People podcast for 10% off the marked price on any one invoice. If you're ordering online, use the code AMP10 at checkout for the same 10% off. That's capital A, capital M, capital P, and the number 10. Restrictions do apply. Go check them out. Tell them we sent you. And let's get back to it. So, is there any like piece of, I don't know, is there a guitar or a piano or any kind of fixture of the shop that's been there since day one that exists today?
Well, so the original music note that we have some pictures in the
Hmm.
store, the original music note that said straight piano and organ that hung at the Ninth on Lamar store has since been moved to our Fifth and West location, then to our Ben White location, and now at our current location on Bee Caves Road. We've had to repurpose it,
Sure,
obviously,
sure.
replastic and
Yeah.
repaint, but that's the music note that sits behind our stage on our main sales floor.
Okay.
And so that music note
Yeah.
has been around for God, 60 something
Yeah.
years. Yeah.
Yeah. Unbelievable.
And that was a big thing for my dad. He was like, "What are you gonna do with the note?" And I didn't know at first. I was like,
He didn't want to know
I was
financial
like, "I
plans.
don't know," but finally figured out a perfect place to put it, and redid it in our current branding colors, and it's a really cool thing.
So let's talk about your employees a little bit because, in my research of the organization and just getting to know you a little bit, it seems like the folks that work at Straight Music love their job. And, and talking with Caitlin about this whole situation we're in. And so I guess my question is, how many people um, that are there, I mean, have been there for, long tenured employees? It would percentage wise, would you say half your staff are tenured employees
I
or?
mean, we really don't have a lot of turnover. Our only turnover probably only exists at like the beginner salesperson level. That's the highest turnover.
Mm-hmm.
And again, like I told you, I've been here for 20 years. So just if I was to go back at the 10-year mark, like we had employees who I vacuumed their office when I was 5 years
Yeah.
old. I mean, a
Yeah.
lot of longstanding employees. We call it the Straight Music family. We always say you spend more time with the people you work with than you do with your family a lot on a given week.
Amen.
On a given week, so we one of our core values is have fun. We keep it light.
Yeah.
I hear that too. That it looks like such a fun place to work, and we hope that bleeds off onto our
Yeah.
customers. I mean, if you have a bunch of people walking around pissed off, I don't think they're going to really
No.
provide the customer service that we strive for. So, I mean, even now though, so now it's kind of funny because, like I said, I've been there 20 years, and it's like our whole leadership team has been there. A lot of them, my COO Rachel Dossie, who's like the engine that drives the business. We've been together for like 15 years, so we've raised our families,
Yeah.
from
Yeah.
raised our families, at similar age kids. I mean, our director of purchasing. I mean, I could go on and on and on, but we have a
Well,
lot of people that have been there for a while.
s-
Still have some of the like Alan Franklin was one of the first band technicians that my grandfather hired, and I believe Alan's in his 90s, if not late 80s,
mhm.
and he doesn't work a lot anymore, but I still see Alan. He still comes to meetings, still comes into the shop about
Wow.
once a week to do hi. He's a really gifted flute repair person that like some of the most accomplished flute players both here and outside of the market send their flutes to. So he's still here. Larry Graves, another long tenured employee, another band technician. I
Man,
mean,
I
yeah.
couldn't imagine the art that you've witnessed in some of those technical repairs, like some of those luthiers, and you were just talking about a flute. Like, how do you even become a master of flute repair and build? You know what I'm saying? It's just
Well, it's
these
actually
artists, man.
it's something that in regards to band repair, it's something that our industry is really struggling with because there's just always more schools, more
Hmm.
players, more bands, bigger bands,
Yeah.
and we have a shortage of instrument repair technicians as an industry right now. And it is a very, very lucrative business to be in for technicians. And the repair schools right now, there's only like 3 or 4 of them. They're not bringing out as many technicians as the industry needs, and they're not that experienced. So a lot
Yeah.
of it is that traditional craft of you're a apprentice and you learn
Yeah.
from a master and you come up and you learn, and then eventually hopefully you can pass down that trade. But it's a very skilled, niche, high demand trade.
Yeah. So would you say that's the biggest threat to shops such as Straight Music?
I mean, I don't think
Threat's a strong word, but
there's bigger threats, but it's definitely something that, like, when I'm in my peer groups, we talk about all the
yeah.
time. Where are we gonna find
Yeah.
qualified technicians? I mean, a lot of us, Straight Music included, have, rental fleets,
Oh my.
2, 5, 10, 20,000,
Yeah.
not I wish I had 20,000, we
But I
don't. But I
couldn't
mean,
imagine. Yeah.
there's and those instruments have to be maintained every year. Plus,
Yeah.
like, right now we have the majority of there's us and a couple other shops in town. There's like 3 shops in town, and every single high school that you see and middle school band that has all those instruments,
Hmm.
they're at about 3 repair shops in Austin right now, which is crazy. But we've been lucky enough. We've trained some of our own in house.
Mm.
I got super lucky and hired a newer technician in the last 2 years, who was already experienced. But it's it's a thing. We're
Yeah.
doing great right now, but it's something that people in the industry talk about a lot.
So do you have like a, personal favorite instrument or something that has come across your sales floor? And what's funny is you're not a musician yourself, right?
I don't like to admit that on the record,
on the
but
air.
yeah, music nut, but can't play. I'll leave that to the professionals.
Yeah, no, that's fair. But do you have, do you have a personal favorite thing that's come across that
There
you're like,
was
man?
I can't remember the year, maybe a 1950 something Martin D45
Mm,
that came in.
mm,
And we sold it on consignment for like a friend of my father's. And I mean, it actually like a pretty renowned guitar collector out of France bought it.
oh wow,
And it's like a 50 something
yeah,
$1,000
no, yeah,
guitar. Um, and so that was pretty cool. Like that was
yeah,
like you know, whoa, like you
yeah.
don't even want to touch it.
No, of course not. I mean,
Um,
it's
there's a
worth it.
bunch. I mean, it's funny because I love guitars. I love awesome guitars. I mean, just I
Yeah,
love guitars.
yeah,
But I'm also not in the collecting business.
yeah.
So
Well, and
you sometimes you fall I like certain ones, but and it's not like I enjoy seeing them go, but that's also the business we're in. I'm up looking at your Billy Strings poster right there. Billy Strings had a signature Martin that came out in the last year or two, and I'm a big Billy Strings fan. And
yeah.
so I commandeered that one, and that
Well,
one's on display in my house.
so I bought. No, I didn't buy. I almost bought that guitar on Father's Day. I was in your acoustic room, and Billy walks up to me. Not Billy Strings.
Yeah.
Your guitar salesman walks up to me, and the worst thing that happens to me, especially at a place like Straight Music, is somebody wants to come and talk to me about guitars while I'm trying to like play guitar, because I'll just get distracted. I'll be like, "Yeah, man, this is cool," because And so Billy and I had a great conversation, but I literally almost walked away with that Billy Strings Martin. So I'm glad you have it.
Yeah, I
'Cause
have, you can hey, by the way, and it's right now, it's still sitting in my office, so
Okay.
it needs to be played. So
Yeah.
next time you're there, tell him you wanna go play Clint's
Oh,
Billy
man,
Strings
that's funny.
D28.
Yeah, yeah, he had that I guess what was it, a limited release kinda artist series that he put
Yeah, it was an
out?
artist series. I think
Yeah,
we had maybe only 3 allocated to
yeah.
us, and I think it's based off of there's a really cool video I saw. It's based off of his stepfather's Martin that he grew up playing. I think
Oh,
it's got a
okay.
shorter scale and a couple different
Yeah,
little tweaks, but what I like about it is it's a signature model that doesn't it doesn't say
yeah.
the only reference to him is that in the sound hole, there's like a cool little like house, and
Yeah,
it's the Billy
I
Strings
saw
model.
that,
So it's
yeah.
very it's a cool guitar. It's got different specs, but it's not like like the Eric Clapton used to have like Eric Clapton in cursive on the
Right,
fretboard, and
right, right.
that's cool. But
Well, I
I
mean,
like it how it's understated.
all those guys, I mean, it's part of having a signature model.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I get it. So just one more thing on the business, and I want to talk kind of more into Austin music. But so obviously retail sales, obviously band um, rentals and repairs. One thing that I didn't know until you and I had a chance to meet was the School of Music. So I guess how long has that been around? Is that new from the new location, basically?
Yeah, so the Austin School of Music, great local business. That was started by Dave Seabury, and in our original Ninth and Lamar store, Dave started giving lessons at, if you remember that shopping center, it was like cut up, and so we
Yeah,
expanded up the hill as the years went on, but he had a studio there, and so he started providing lessons out of there,
yeah.
and I took from Dave, like, in middle school, and that started to grow, and then when we moved to 5th and West,
Hmm.
we built out, which was at the time we bought an old abandoned Apple Toyota dealership. I think it was Apple Toyota. Anyways, we built out a music school in the back, and, uh, Dave was essentially a tenant, like,
Yeah,
he ran the school
yeah.
and just, paid rent, and so we took that same concept to our Ben White store. The Austin School of Music were there, they were great partners, and then just when we decided to move from Ben White to our BK's Road store, at about the same time, Dave was building out another studio off Manchac Road, and just kinda
Mhm.
made sense that we were finally gonna, run and operate our own music school within that
Yeah,
space. I also had the space, and frankly, I needed to pay for the
of
rent.
course. And
Um,
and so is it lessons for all levels?
yeah, oh yeah, every instrument, every level, and, we have hundreds of students now. That's just such a I never knew what I was missing. Having a music school is awesome. I mean,
Yeah.
and it really hits home for me too, because I live in that community and I grew up here. So like, and my office is above the school. So when I walk down, it's like, oh, I coached you in baseball.
Yeah.
Oh, I grew
That's
up with your
awesome.
mom. Oh, we're old friends.
That's
That's my
awesome, man.
godson.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
it's
That's
like,
so cool.
so I get to go down and like see
Yeah.
everybody, and that place is hopping from about 3 o'clock on every day. And so I hope to expand into our other locations at some point. But it's just an awesome part of our business. And I mean, obviously, one of our core values is advocate for music education. And that's just another way we can live out that core value.
So you touched on your core values a lot, which, for me, I live in a pretty corporate world. Even it's construction, but it's pretty corporate, and core values is important to our organization. So what are your core values? I mean, you touched on a couple of them, but I feel like it's important to get out there because clearly that's how you guys operate your business, man.
Well, it's
So
funny. So if you know me, I'm not a very
it's a
like
touchy feely
yeah,
type of
yeah, yeah,
thing,
and that's not that I can't play in that space. There's certain things that are and principles and things that the company has always stood on,
Mhm.
operated by, and it's funny because my team was like, "Hey, we need this, we need
Yeah.
core value." I'm like, "Oh, like you said, I'm like, oh, okay."
Yeah.
So glad we did it, and so we got together as a leadership team, and we put them on paper, and I actually do. I did it this morning. Every new hire comes in, and I go over the mission statement, the core values with them. It's funny. Let's see if I can do this by memory. So our mission statement is create excitement for making music, inspire musicians of all abilities to discover their unique voice. And then our core values are cultivate community, freedom to grow, advocate for music education.
That's a big one.
It's exemplary. It's a hero. It's a exemplary customer service, but we call them a hero moment. It's going above and beyond for your customer. I forget the title, and have fun. So I have a whole spiel. I go over in depth with each one of those and what it means to the company. But those are, and again, it's what we always did. We just didn't have it
Yeah.
on paper, but
Yeah.
now we try to point back to those whenever we can.
So moving to Austin music, obviously just got through talking about how it's been here for generations and you've had musicians come through, you know, how do you see your position and how Austin music is today as we speak? We've got it's a very, very, very big market. A lot of musicians in town. That's what I mean by that. There's all sorts of conversations around pay issues and all sorts of conversations around accessibility. So where do you see straight music fitting into kind of the overall Austin music fold as the live music capital of the world, so to
Well,
speak?
first of all, I would probably look internally, and practically everyone, certainly on the sales floor, and probably in the repair departments and everywhere. Like we employ musicians. I mean, almost everyone is a musician.
Hmm.
They're in bands, they're in touring bands. And so I think the first thing I think about is just trying to help those people not only live out their passion away from straight music, but also providing them an environment where they can work in their passion. And so I
Yeah.
think the first thing is just having a store full of musicians that also are a part of the scene.
Yeah.
And we've always been like that. I mean, they're all gigging musicians, and I mean, obviously you can't take off every week to go on tour, but
Sure.
we do try to create an environment where that's something that's possible. So I look at it that way internally first. Externally, it's like anything. I mean, here's the deal. I live in two worlds. I live in the first world as a, get off my lawn Austinite, and I
Hmm.
live in a second world where I'm a retailer.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
the first world, there's things that are a bummer. Like, I still think of going to the old backyard growing up, man. Like being a high school kid and going to see Robert O'Keefe at the backyard was like that
Hmm.
was like an entry into like a new type of fun that I
Yeah.
had never experienced.
Yeah.
And going to like South Park Meadows and seeing I think I saw Dave Matthews Band, and my friend's
Oh
Jeep got
man.
stolen out of the parking lot that day. But so those aren't around anymore. They're both shopping centers
Hmm.
now,
Hmm.
which is a common theme. But I also think there's a lot of really passionate people in the Austin music scene. I think about people like Steve Wertheimer from Continental Club.
Yeah.
He has, I mean, Seaboys and Continental Club have not lost their fastball. They're great places to go see music. Obviously, Will Bridges and the crew at Antone's are a great job. Will is always trying to preserve the Austin icons and keep everything like that. And so I think as long as we have people that know how to, you know, keep the soul of
Mhm.
Austin music alive and the venues and everything surrounding it will be okay. But this reality is, man, this town is crazy, dude. Like
Yeah,
it's
it's
crazy.
nuts.
I mean, I still drive down South Congress and I don't even recognize it. I
Yeah.
mean,
Oh,
it's
I couldn't
wild.
imagine. I mean, I've only been here 11 years, and even since then, the town has changed tremendously. And I couldn't imagine a guy from your position, you know,
Oh, I
and
drive around places all the time and I'm like, when did this
yeah,
happen?
yeah. Well, and it's funny because in my day job, I have a front row seat to the built environment and
Yeah.
everything that's going on. So I feel like I too live the double where
Yep.
like you know, I go to Antone's and I think like, man, I love this place, but I want to go. I wish I could have experienced the original Antone's, or like, yeah, I love going to See Boys. But it's like, ooh, across the street they just demolished that shell and they're about to build a condo. It's like, so I
Yeah.
get it, and it's unfortunate in that, but I would say talking to musicians throughout this show, I mean, there's still a strong, strong, strong love for music in this city, but of just the people of Austin, and I think that's never going to go away, and so hopefully that translates into the guys like Will who are just trying to maintain the soul.
And I mean, you mentioned the affordability. It also just sucks that like I mean, again, example, people that work at my store, like they're in bands and they have to leave
Hmm.
their town to go try and tour and actually make money. But the problem is that when you go on tour, you very rarely make money because it costs money
All you're doing
too.
is spending money.
Yeah. And
Yeah,
so I hate that. Um, I just
yeah.
I wish I had the answer. I know that's probably a lot of people do.
Well, I mean, but you, I would say as an organization, you guys do things outside of just providing a place to work for musicians. I mean, uh, you are all over. Anytime I see something related to Sims or Ham or any kind of nonprofit that has any kind of show, I see the Straight Music logo, and I'm sure that is extremely intentional. So, you know,
A lot of great organizations in town that have been doing a lot of good things for a while. I mean, you mentioned Ham and Sims. Gosh, back when I first moved here, we started like a young professional group to support Ham. It was called Good Eggs and Ham.
I've
And
never heard of that.
yeah, it was back in the day. I
Interesting.
should bring that back.
Yeah, man. You got a T-shirt or something?
Yeah, but and even then it was Renee Collins was running
Okay.
Ham at the time. And Ricky Hardy, who I think just started to do something different. She was there at the time. And just a lot of passionate people, again, like that same vein of wanting to keep the soul and everything that is Austin music alive and well, which I think is Ham's motto, keep Austin music alive and
Yeah.
well. And I have people that work for us that have received care, and
Mhm.
Ham has helped out, and so that's a great organization. Kids in a New Groove is another one that I'm really passionate
Yeah.
about. That's their mission is to provide mentorship through music
Yeah.
for kids in the foster care system.
I've been lucky enough to have, Karen Dorian here
Yeah. Yep.
talking about it, and yeah, man,
You know what's hilarious? You mentioned Dorian. I saw him. Oh, I didn't know this. I hope Dorian hears this. I did not know Dorian was a model. I
I didn't
saw
know
him.
Dorian was a
I
model
thinking it
either.
was I was looking at something maybe on like
Next time I
Tyler's
see him,
website.
I'm gonna give him shit.
Like I think Tyler's, the retailer,
Yeah,
great
yeah,
retailer,
yeah.
by the way. It was definitely Dorian. I just gotta remember. I think it was Tyler's, and I had no idea. So
That's funny.
Dorian, I didn't know you had that in you.
So, it was funny because he's a drummer, and he's a very, humble guy, and I was asking, like, "So on the show, I was like, "So who have you played with?" He's like, "Oh, D. Snyder," and I'm like, "Dude, what? That is the most random, awesome thing in the world." Like, yeah, no, that's funny. But what other organizations do you
Yeah,
interact with?
Kids in a New Groove, Ham, Sims.
Mhm.
I mean, honestly, I'm trying to think of other. Obviously, we support a lot of the local school
Yeah.
programs. Um,
Do you have any, like, success stories that you're aware of, like, a kid who either went through the school of music or, like, was renting from you, and now he's, like, you know, yeah, I don't know, an international acclaimed, pianist or something like that?
not that I can think of. There's a pair of twins um that have we've helped out with before. I think originally they were King students, and
Hmm,
I had someone reach out to me from I'm gonna mess this up. It's California. What's the name of that organization? It was Loyal to the Craft, I think. Anyways,
hmm,
they came through town and they just wanted to help out an aspiring musician, and
okay,
they came to the
awesome.
store, outfitted these kids with a bunch of gear. They got to play with the guy. The drummer's name was Tosh. He's Lady Gaga's drummer,
Okay.
and he came in and they hooked these kids up. And then I heard not but a month or two after that they invited those kids to go play at the Vans Warp Tour. So that's
Oh,
just a recent example of
yeah,
just again, and that all starts from it's not straight music just exists to support how we can. That comes from the people that are passionate in the causes that they, you know, eat, live, and breathe.
mhm,
That is all about the power of music and music education and what it can do to change lives. And we just try to help how we can.
yeah.
We're not the drivers, but
Yeah.
we're in a position where we can support and help, and that's just what we try to do.
So what's the long-term vision for Straight? Hopefully more of the same. But is there any kind of big changes that you'd like to make as an organization?
Not really. People ask me that all the time. What's the big plan? I mean, the big plan is to continue to do what
Mhm.
we do and continue to do it better.
Yeah.
And so whether that's growing our band and orchestra rental business, certainly growing our school of music business
Yeah.
and hopefully expanding it to our other locations. That's a great thing for us. Um, but really just continue to do what we do. A lot has happened. We faced a lot of competition
Yeah.
online, and of course with big box retailers that are here. But I feel like we do a better job than them at what we do, and so we just got to continue to fight the good fight. And
I was curious about it. I mean, you said other guys in town, you know, do you have a relationship with the guys at South Austin and Austin Vintage and, some other really storied music places here in
yeah,
town?
and I saw that on your like your pre questions that you
Yeah.
ran by me. So I don't personally have
Mhm.
relationships with them.
Yeah.
However, anytime that us and the other stores interact, like look, I call them competimates. All right. If you're running a local music store, you are our friend, not our enemy.
Yeah,
All right. The bottom line is that we all fight the same people.
yeah.
And if we did all the business and they didn't, we'd
Yeah.
all be doing great.
Yeah.
So I
Yeah.
just don't like if you're not going to do business with us for whatever reason, I hope to God you're doing it with another local retailer.
Yeah.
And the other thing is that each of us in those spaces have different things that we do well.
Mhm.
And depending on what your needs are, like that's where you should go. And also there's a lot of like referral business,
Yeah.
if there's something that we don't do, we're gonna refer you to a local retailer. And I think those guys do the same thing. And we're lucky in this town to have South Austin Music, Austin Vintage, used to have Guitar Resurrection, Austin Guitar
Yeah.
House. Um,
Moon
y-
Music.
yeah, I mean, there's just a lot of great local retailers. And so I wish nothing but success for every one of those people, and any interactions I've had with any of those store owners or is always very cordial, and I
Yeah.
and I I I hope they would say the same thing. I mean, we're
Well,
all we work here, we live here, we employ here, and we're all fighting the same battle, and we all have the same passion. And so, I like I said, someone gave me that term one time, competimates, and that's the way I think
yeah.
about it. We're in it together.
I mean, it makes sense, at the end of the day, when organizations such as yourself and shops such as, excuse me, as yourself want the best for their customer, like you said, they're going to refer, somebody goes into Austin Vintage Guitar looking for recommendations on where to, I don't know, buy a piano, you know, it might refer straight music or, where to rent. It's just, it makes complete sense and that's the way it should be, you know.
Yeah.
And I get it. Yeah. At the end of the day, you're running a business, but you got to take care of your clientele. So, because they will take care of you on the back end.
But
So,
again, that and I would venture to guess that they would say the same thing. I would
yeah.
hope so because we're all there's plenty of it to go around for us local
Yeah.
guys. We gotta fight off the rest of the people, and
Yeah.
hopefully we do. But
Well, I haven't met one serious musician that likes the big box store. I'm not going to say any names,
yeah.
because I'm not trying to get into it, but yeah,
But it's funny though, there's so many new people in this town, and the sad reality is that every town that someone moved from to come here,
it has that.
they might not have had an Austin Vintage or a South Austin
Oh
Music or
yeah,
a Straight Music
yeah.
in their town. They only knew that other place.
Hmm.
And so my goal has always been, I always tell everybody, like, look, the bottom line is that when someone walks in our store, they should walk out after they've been there and say to themselves, I'm never going anywhere else again. That was awesome. I'm never going anywhere else
Yeah.
again. And if we do what we strive to do and be the store and the people that we strive to be in our space, we should accomplish that goal.
Yeah. So, what keeps you personally driven to keep doing what you're doing? I mean, you kind of answered that question through through this whole conversation, but like when you wake up in the morning, what really keeps you going?
My family.
There you go. That's
That's I
fair.
got my wife Katie, and I got a 12-year-old son Leo and a 9-year-old daughter Lucille.
All right.
Which is ironic because both of those names are family names from my wife's side, but they also have a musical connotation
Yep.
because Leo Fender and of course
Yeah.
Lucille, the famous guitar
Of
BB
course.
King. So, but they were actually family names from my wife's side.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that's it, man. I mean, um, being able to support them and you know, and also just being able to run a business that is able to employ as many people as we do.
Yeah.
You know, I think we're up to now with our teachers, I think we're, somewhere 70-ish full-time employees. And, I want those people to have a happy work life
Mhm.
and just, so they can support their families. But yeah, as far as what motivates me, I mean, you know, it's really that making sure that I'm supporting my family.
Dad to dad, what do you think is your biggest challenge in with keeping family the number one priority, but you also have this major, you know, thing that you're responsible for? What
Something I've always struggled with is just stress management. I mean, there's only certain ways you can behave at work. And
yeah.
then, I feel like I've always struggled with, taking the stress of work and being a business owner. And then it comes back home and manifests itself and, just poor stress management.
Yeah.
I'm getting better.
I know
My
the
wife and
feeling,
I are
man.
have a big home construction project right now, and I
Mm,
feel like
that doesn't help.
with all that going on, I've done good. So
Good.
we'll leave it at that. But
Yeah, I feel that.
that's a constant struggle for me personally. That's just kind of the person that I am. I wear my emotions on my sleeve,
Yeah.
both good and bad, and so I have to manage bottling at work and then not letting it overflow when I get
Yeah.
home.
Yeah, especially when you got a lot of people, and this is where I try not to like let this overtake my mind and my emotions, but you got a lot of people depending on the decisions you're making, right? That's my biggest thing. It's like, there's, when I was building what I was building, it's like there's literally hundreds of people relying on this decision, and that was like then I come home and like smaller amount of people, bigger decision, right? And so that was the stressor for me. So I
Well,
was
and
I was
the
just curious.
decisions you make that affect the people that work for you, if they don't go right, then it affects the people that you go home to.
Yes, very
So
very much
it's all
so, very
connected.
much so. So I ask everybody this, but what does the term "live music capital of the world" mean to you?
Well, you know, it's changed a little bit because I think a lot of that probably started with the epicenter being 6th Street, which if I still call it dirt. If you go down to Dirty Six, you still hear
I
music
mean,
popping out of the places. But
yeah.
I think the live music capital of the world, to me as an Austinite, means at any point during any day, you could go see live music.
Mhm.
So whether that's you're starting off at happy hour at Saxon Pub or Continental
Mhm.
or Sea Boys, and then you're progressing into the night, you could hop around and you could go see live music until it closes, and you could go to probably any part of the city and find that. There's so many good clubs. There's much good music. Um, it's now you have some of the big events,
Yeah.
that they're great. They contribute to the local economy, but to me, it's all about, you know, sort of that soul, like we said, and
Mhm.
it's those great iconic clubs that there's always music playing. You could go somewhere and there's an outdoor show. Now you've got all these like beer gardens and stuff. There's always good music.
Yeah.
Like ABGB has sweet, musicians playing all the time. Like I think it's just that ability to be able to find a show, be able to stumble upon a band,
Yeah.
not something you plan for. Like, pretty much like, I mean, I got kids too, so my ability to go out is not like it used to
It's a
be.
little tough these
But
days,
like,
yeah.
if we go out, like, I want to go see live music. I
Yeah,
mean,
that is
even
the only reason
go
I'm
to
going out.
have a great meal, but then it's like, hey, where are we going? And what's cool about this town is you can pull up your phone, and I don't care what genre it
Yeah.
is,
You're not
you
gonna
can
make a
find it.
bad decision,
No,
you
no.
know? In the same vein as your response, but, like, I mean, depending on if you're wanting to listen to country, rock, blues, rap, reggae, whatever it is, like, you're not gonna make a bad decision. Pick a venue, go do it. You're gonna have a great time, and that's what drew me to this city personally, and it just so happened that my career was also supported here. So, I don't know, I just feel it when I walk around and talk to musicians, and I think there's still a real passion from the people in the city of Austin, and I think there's intent in terms of government programs, city mandated programs and all that kind of good stuff. So I'm just happy to be a small part of it here and happy to share everybody's story.
Well, I mean, we meaning just everyone appreciates it too. I mean, this is a cool thing you're doing. I know it's not your day job. And I mean, when I met you that day at my office, I was like, man, this is awesome. Like, just a really cool thing
Thank
you're
you, man.
doing to just expose more people to all that. And again, it's like, I think about the Austin Music Industry Awards. The Austin music scene is so vast.
Mhm.
It's everything from the promoters to the booking agents, to the
Yeah,
retailers like
man.
me, to the, people running sound, to the musicians, to the great organizations like we mentioned before, like Ham and Sims that are supporting those musicians. It's just, I mean, it is a machine.
It is.
And it's not perfect. But there's not hardly any places that can claim that they have a machine like we have here. And we can
Agreed.
do better, but it's pretty special.
I agree. I agree. That's very well put. Organizations like Ham Sims, they don't exist in other music towns in this country. They might have more people on stage at any given moment, but you can't get free healthcare or free
Mhm.
mental services, right? And so I think that's a big part of what makes it a live music capital of the world. It's like it's truly, like you said, it's not perfect, but it's pretty special.
Well, and I was
So
maybe it was someone I was interviewing the other day. I think so. They were from Nashville and had played in Nashville and we're here now. And I think the other person I was with asked the applicant, they said, what's the difference between the music scene in Nashville and
mm,
Austin? And his response was he didn't even stutter. He just said, the Austin music scene is a lot more community driven.
mm,
It's a lot more community
I
driven,
love I love hearing that.
which we've talked about a lot
Yeah.
today. And Nashville is a lot more cutthroat and
What can you do for
and
me?
that's one person's opinion, but that's what he was very clear that since he's been here, it's a totally different vibe.
Yeah. Well, Clint, I appreciate you coming by, man. This has been fun to kind of get to know you guys and get to know you personally, your business, and I hope that we can continue to keep working together. And
Totally.
and I've already kind of, and I appreciate you introducing me to Wade and the guys at Zilker Belts.
Yep. Got my
And
Zilker Belts hat on right now, Wade and
yeah,
Hill.
we got a nice little strap. They Wade and Ford, awesome dudes. I went and had had lunch with Wade right after you introduced us, and man, and not to belabor it, but it's just like that's what I love so much about this city is that it's like, hey man, I don't know you, you don't know me. We're in completely different worlds and industries, but we're gonna figure out a way to hang out and make something work together.
Yep.
And I just love that about this town and specifically the music industry. So
Goes
again,
back to that community driven thing that we're lucky to be a part of. And once again, man, I appreciate it. This is the first time I've done something like this. Pretty cool. And so I appreciate it. And like I said, too, I just appreciate what you're doing for the whole scene. So thank you.
thank you. Thanks for listening. Know someone we should talk to? Give us a shout on Instagram at Austin Music People. Tell your friends, tell your family, and get out there and support Austin music.